Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm filming my monthly eyeshadow palette ranking video. So if you guys want to hear about all the palettes that I tried out in the month of June, then just keep watching. If you guys are new to my channel, welcome. My name is KARENHARRIS. I like to film tan girl friendly makeup videos here on YouTube. Every month I sit down and rank my eyeshadow palettes that I tried in the previous month. It's also a fun way for me to review palettes for you guys. And I just love eyeshadow palettes. It's like my favorite thing. So if you like to hear if eyeshadow palettes are tan girl friendly, this is the place for you. I know a lot of you watching are already subscribed, so thank you for that. Subscribe if you aren't though. And if you guys could do me a big favor and watch this video all the way to the end, that really helps me out because it makes my channel look wonderful in the algorithm, which is a huge free way for you guys to support my channel. I'm trying to grow my YouTube. I'm really trying to grow my channel, and so if you watch this video to the end, you can help me out, which I really appreciate. Okay, now that I've begged for you guys' attention, let's go ahead and rank my palettes. We've got 14 palettes to rank, so let's start off with number 14. I do want to provide a disclaimer that honestly, even though some of these palettes are ranking lower than others, all of the palettes I tried in June were pretty wonderful. I definitely struggled to rank them. This one does kind of deserve number 14, but it's only because the competition at the top was fierce. So we're going to start off at number 14 with the Wet n Wild Alice in Wonderland collaboration. So I picked up a bunch of their stuff from their Sesame Street collab, and I wasn't really planning on buying anything from the Alice collection, but I got an email saying it was available and I was just triggered. So I was like, let me just grab this, let me just see. So if you guys like to see me test out drugstore makeup, definitely let me know in the comments. I can make more of an effort to do that. I just feel like, personally, this is my opinion, I feel like drugstore makeup, even though it seems like it's more affordable than like Sephora makeup, because of the price tag, you kind of start buying like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and before you know it, you're $100 deep with just like okay makeup. And that's kind of how I felt about this whole collection. It's very okay, and I hate to say that it's good for the drugstore, but sometimes the makeup is just like good for the drugstore price point. It's great for everyday consumers that don't want to spend an arm and a leg. But would I put this up against one of my Oden's eye palettes, one of my Adept palettes, any of my Clionadh multi-chrome eyeshadows? Absolutely not. But if you are just like balling on a budget, or you have a teenager that wants to try some makeup for the first time, this is going to be a really good palette for them to start off. I think they did a good job with the packaging and stuff. Of course, I'm not like a Alice super fan. It's just not me. But I think it's cute. I did buy a whole bunch of stuff from the collection. I bought the PR box. So if you guys want to see my thoughts on it, I do have a full video with it. Highly recommend checking it out. We did test out a lot of parts from this collection. In 13th place is the Culture 2 palette from Juvias Place. I genuinely miss my old school Juvias Place, you guys. I love this brand with a burning passion, and I just feel like their newer eyeshadow palettes don't reflect the Juvias Place brand that I fell in love with back in the day. I mean, just thinking of like their Tribe palettes and some of their other color stories, they were so vibrant and fun, and this one is too, but this is giving me kind of like a bit of a lazy vibe because it's really just a giant rainbow palette, and this is the Culture 2. So there is a first palette that they did that also has a very similar vibe. I mean, maybe this line is doing well for them, which is why they did a second palette. I will say I feel like Juvias Place has put a lot of focus in building their brand and giving us multiple products, because when they first started, they were definitely heavily focused on eyeshadow palettes, but it's been so interesting to watch them build their line because they have fantastic base products. Their foundations are so good. I love their blushes. I love their liquid blushes. I'm just waiting for liquid bronzers from them because they gave us liquid highlighters. They just came out with lip oils. Like, they're really doing a solid job of curating like a whole carousel at like a Ulta store, so I totally get it. I'm very happy with the direction they're taking their brand. I just miss some of their more well thought out color stories. So yeah, it's nice, but it's not my favorite. So we're putting it in number 13. Okay, in 12th place, we have this little Pat McGrath quad. So this is the Passion Fleur Luxe Eyeshadow Quad from Pat McGrath. I picked this up when she launched her blush bombs, and I didn't need this, but I was kind of being greedy. I just was craving some Pat McGrath, some Nunu, and I'm just waiting for her to launch a Mothership palette. I'm waiting for a Mothership palette, but in the meantime, I bought this to kind of curb my craving, as one would say, and I don't have anything in this pink packaging. I know that she launched one of her Motherships in a pink package like this. I can't remember which one, but I wasn't able to get my hands on that, so I decided to get this quad. It's very beautiful. If you like a quick, easy, kind of neutral berry-ish leaning eye look, this is a great one, and the formula is really, really nice. I'm just ranking it at number 12 because it's honestly kind of a boring palette. So yeah, that's the only reason, but the quality's there and it's a cutie, but I definitely didn't need to buy it. It was totally a spontaneous buy because I was like, oh, I can just put it in a video and do like a testing new makeup video. So yeah, sometimes I don't always make the best decisions when it comes to how I spend my makeup budget, but it is what it is. And in 11th place, we have the Peaches and Dreams palette from Shroud Cosmetics. I am such a fan of Shroud, but I think you guys can probably guess why this palette is ranking at number 11. My complaint with this one is just that it doesn't have a lot of contrast. So it's a very mid-tone eye look. The metallics are absolutely stunning. And I am so excited to see Shroud do something like this. Totally makes sense for their line because I feel like they've given us a lot of really grungy color stories. So I'm glad they did something light and airy like this, especially with it being the summertime. I think that if you mix and match these with some of their existing palettes, you'll be able to create some wonderful eye looks. So I'm ranking it at number 11, but I think this totally made sense with their current eyeshadow palette lineup. They needed to do something like this. In 10th place is the Aloha palette from Clarity Cosmetics. So Clarity is kind of shifting their what's the word? Their brand, their aesthetic. They're shifting their aesthetic. And they kind of used to do the same as Gimme Glow. They had those big eyeshadow pans, and now they're kind of going in a different direction. I'm very curious to see how they're kind of rebrand. What is it called? I don't know. They're changing their vibe. So I'm very curious to see how that is all going to pan out for them. I think this is a beautiful color story, but I think this would have really benefited from some special shades. I think like a duochrome would have been nice. So, you know, nice mattes, pigmented, beautiful. The metallics are nice as well, but I don't know that this is unique enough to stand out in a very competitive eyeshadow palette market. Like, I feel like when it comes to eyeshadows, you really have to bring it these days. Otherwise, your brand isn't going to stand out. Granted, there's people that don't go looking for the most shifty, the most shiny eyeshadow palettes. I'm not that person. I love very beautiful shifty shadows. I love that they go on beautifully, but this is a nice, solid, colorful palette. It's just not that unique in my collection. I don't really know what made me grab my Alice in Wonderland and Sigma collab, but this palette launched last year, and I actually rank all the palettes I try in a month, not just the new ones. So this is an older palette, but I wanted to put it in 9th place. So this is one of the more colorful Sigma palettes. I will say their new palette with Angela Bright, I feel like has an even better matte eyeshadow formula. I need to play with that one a little bit more to see if I feel like they tinkered with the formula, because I feel like they did. I feel like those mattes were so pigmented, but I just wanted to play with this palette for fun because I had tried the one from Wet n Wild, and yeah, it's a cute palette. It's kind of an older palette, but I did use it in the month of June, so I'm ranking it at number 9. Okay, in 9th place, we have the Warriors Wear Pink palette from Gourmand Girls, and they did this in collaboration with Surya Soto. I talked about it more in the video where I featured this palette, but it's been a hot minute since Gourmand Girls did a palette, or at least one that I got in PR, and I think this is really cute. When I first tried them, I wasn't in love with their formula, but it's come a long way, and I'm so excited for them. There's nothing better than seeing an indie brand kind of progress, and maybe it's selfish of me because I like the new formula, but maybe some of you out there don't. I don't know, but I think this is a good formula. Very nice pigmented mattes and some really beautiful shimmer shades as well. And of course, there's a good cause as well. I was just looking up some information on this and I noticed it's on sale because they're sneak peeking a new launch, I guess. They're going to do something spooky in July. So I am very curious because their Spooked palette from last year was fabulous. And so yeah, I'm curious to see. But if you've been wanting to snag this one, it is on sale now. I don't know how long it's going to last for. I'm filming this on like July, I don't even know what day it is. It's July 15th when I'm filming this, so hopefully this will go up soon and you guys will be able to grab the palette on sale. Okay, in 8th place, this is kind of different for me, but I love this neutral palette. This is the Smoking Hot palette from Colourpop. So this palette is definitely giving me nostalgia vibes from back in the day when Morphe 350 ruled the streets of the internet beauty community, but this is just giving me all the feels. I think this palette is gorgeous. The formula is very nice. It's those creamy metallics that Colourpop does every once in a while. The shimmers and the mattes work really nicely together. Just an easy breezy palette. I would say this is one that I would buy for my friends. I usually buy my friends neutral palettes for gifts, and I could definitely see myself picking this up for my best friend. I usually give her like Colourpop palettes because she really likes the Colourpop eyeshadow palette, so I could definitely see myself picking this up for her. And yeah, it's a really beautiful neutral eyeshadow palette, and I love the price point as well. Okay, in 6th place is the beautiful Delicious Delights from Cosmic Brushes. So I have a broken shade in here, so I'm trying not to like be too wild and crazy about this, but it's a beautiful kind of pastel-y, kind of pinky blue palette. I mean, definitely reminds me of like Cotton Candy Skies. So it's a gorgeous vibe. I will say that the reason this one is in 6th place is because I think I found a pastel palette that I like a little bit more than this one in the month of June. So yeah, this palette definitely had some heavy competition this month, but you guys know I love Cosmic Brushes. I will say I do prefer the color story of the Serenity palette and the Muse palette. Those are definitely more my vibe, but I am such a lover of the brand, and I think they do such a good job with their color stories. So I'm very interested to see what they do next, because I always am with all the brands that I love and support. But yeah, I'm just curious to see what direction they go in, because I feel like they've gotten a little bit of everything in the few palettes they've done so far. So very patiently waiting to see. But this palette is beautiful, and the reason I ranked it at number 6 is just because, like I mentioned at the start, there's just so much good stuff in June. So yeah, it's a little bit hard to rank these, if I'm being honest. Okay, in 5th place, I know this palette, I feel like, you know, people don't love ABH as much as they used to, but I can't let it go. I can't let the brand die in my head, because they are like one of those brands that I started buying from first. Like when I first started watching beauty YouTube, ABH was like in its heyday. They had launched, I think, the collab with Dress Your Face. I can't even remember, but I've collected ABH palettes for a long time. I deeply regret decluttering some of those older palettes just because I wanted to like keep them. And listen, this is not gonna like knock anybody's panties off, but I think as far as like a mainstream brand that's available at Sephora, this is a really cool palette. These duochromes are so beautiful, and I wish they had given us a colorful matte, just because I think that they would pair and pop really nicely with a colorful matte. But I think this is kind of the direction that mainstream audiences are going towards. Like, it's not just like a neutral palette like the Smoky Hot palette. So it has a little bit of punch to it. It has a little bit of hidden pizzazz, and I'm here for it. And I love this formula that ABH has. I really wasn't into their new kind of format for the pan sizes, but it has grown on me. So very, very much a lover of this palette, and I am very, very happy that I picked it up and spent my own money on it. Okay, you guys, in fourth place is the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. This palette is so pretty. It's definitely my favorite midi palette from Natasha. For the longest time, it was the bronze palette, but this one is definitely more my vibe. It is a bit of a grungy girl. It's got those olive tones. It's got some really pretty golden metallics in here, as well as some warm neutrals. So yeah, I really like this palette, and it has that good Natasha quality. So I think this is a really, really fun palette. And then in third place, we have the Rick and Morty palette from Glamlight. I am sure you guys are just as surprised as I was, but I actually really like this palette. I like this one more than the Scooby-Doo. It is a very intense, big rainbow palette, but the quality is there. I really, really enjoyed playing with the mattes especially. I ended up using the mattes to play with the Lethal Metals and Multichromes collection, so I got a lot more use out of this palette than I had even hoped for, and I think it's my favorite Glamlight palette. It has some really fun, punchy shades, and yeah, I'm filming this the day that they're announcing a new collection, so I'm very curious to see what Glamlight will do. So yeah, anyway, either which way, I really like the Rick and Morty eyeshadow palette, and it kind of caught me off guard. I was a little bit surprised because I was like, oh great, they're doing another big rainbow palette, but the quality is definitely there with that one. Okay, in second place is the Sugar and Grunge palette from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. This one is my dream pastel palette. Now, I don't know that this was necessarily intended to be classified as a pastel palette. I decided to classify it as a pastel palette because it has a row of pastels, but it has the thing I'm always complaining about when it comes to pastels. It has corresponding deepening up matte shades, which is so clutch for me because I struggle with pastels. Even with a white base, I just feel like it's not that flattering on my skin tone. So I love to make them smoky and use a deepening up shade on the outer corner. So I had a lot of fun playing with this palette. I definitely want to play with it some more. So this is another solid launch from Blend Bunny. I'm actually wearing one of the liquid lipsticks that launched with this collection. I'm wearing the shade Sweetheart on my lips today. So yeah, you guys know me. I'm a big fan of Blend Bunny, and I can't wait to see what they do next. Okay, are you guys ready for number one? Drum roll, please. Okay, so I cheated a little bit for number one, but I decided to rank these palettes together because they are glorious, and I've just been really, really thrilled with the direction this brand is going in. So in number one, I couldn't pick. I just decided to rank them together. So I'm ranking the Oden George's collection. I think I butchered that, but we have two palettes. We've got the Jewels and Gems palette and the Stone and Rock palette. The Stone and Rock palette is just, you know, I told you guys I like the Yucca palette. This one could eat the Yucca palette for lunch. It's nowhere near as good as this one. Oh my gosh, I just love the Oden formula. Their multichromes, their shimmer shades, their mattes, so good, so pigmented, so blendable, so shiny. This shade right here, oh my gosh, and then I used this one on the lid when I created a green look. Holy bananas, so beautiful. So realistically, the Stone and Rock palette kind of carried this collection, But, as somebody who doesn't love cool tones, I just feel like this is a perfectly curated cool tone palette for me. I'm a bit of a color lover, so I love that they included those like purples and those pinky shades, because a lot of the time cool tone palettes are usually like just 50 shades of gray and 50 shades of cool tone beiges. And I especially hate cool tone beige browns on my eyes because I feel like it makes me look extra tired. But this is gorgeous. Again, beautiful multi-chromes, beautiful shimmers, beautiful mattes. I love these palettes. I love this collection from Oden's Eye. I'm so excited for them. I just ordered the Norns palette because they upgraded the palette and the formula, and that palette has such a beautiful color story. So I can't wait for it to get here. I'm so happy. That is it for my ranking video. So what do you guys think? Let me know, what was your favorite eyeshadow palette that you tried in the month of June. It doesn't have to be a new palette. Maybe it's something that you rediscovered in your collection, or maybe it's something that you bought that you haven't been able to put down. Let me know what your favorite palette is this month. Thank you guys so much for hanging with me while I rambled on about eyeshadow palettes. I really enjoy filming these videos. I really enjoy talking about eyeshadow palettes. So it just makes what I do here online so much fun for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Give it a thumbs up if you did. And I will see you in another video very soon. Bye for now.